Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Morning Mobility with NATEFIT, where we spend 15 minutes helping you create a movement habit. We post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday now, and every weekend we'll post a live stream at some point. Today we're going to focus on spine and hip rotation. So we're going to start off in our side-lying hip cars, getting those hips warmed up, hands clasped together. Here we go. We're going to pull the knee to the chest into flexion, opening up into abduction, nice and slow. Control these movements. Internally rotating that ankle behind the knee, pressing that knee back into extension. Return to midline, knees together, and reverse. Extension, abduction, pointing the knee to the ceiling, rotating that knee, pointing it towards the shoulder, pulling it towards the shoulder, return to midline, knees together, and again, flexion, point the knee to the ceiling in abduction, internally rotating, getting that ankle behind the knee, far as you can, press that knee back, squeeze your glute, return to midline, knees together, and reverse, extension, squeeze the glute, point the knee to the ceiling, rotating, pointing the knee to the shoulder, pulling the knee to the shoulder, return to midline, knees together, and we have one more here. Flexion, abduction, nice and slow, internally rotating, pressing that knee back into extension as far as you can, return to midline, pull the knees together, and reverse. Extension, squeeze that glute, point that knee to the ceiling, externally rotating, flexion, pull the knee to the shoulder, return to midline, knees together. Flipping on over to the other side. Hands clasped together. And here we go. Flexion, pulling that knee to the chest, opening up into abduction, internally rotating, get that ankle behind the knee, press the knee back into extension, return to midline, knees together, and reverse, extension, abduction, external rotation, flexion, adduction, knees together, and again, flexion, abduction, internal rotation, extension, adduction down to midline, knees together, and reverse, pressing that knee back, pulling the knee towards the ceiling, pointing the knee towards the shoulder, pulling the knee towards the shoulder, return to midline, knees together. One more time here, flexion, abduction, internal rotation, extension, adduction, returning to midline, knees together, and reverse, extension, abduction, external rotation, flexion, adduction, knees together. Okay, we're going to go to our thoracic spine cars next. I'm going to be kneeling for this one. You can do it sitting in a chair, standing, or kneeling up. I like your hips to be seated because that will stop any compensation from the hips and just make sure that we get movement out of the spine. So here we go, hands on the shoulders. We're going to slowly tuck that rib cage down into flexion. We're going to rotate and turn those shoulders to one side, dropping the shoulder down into lateral flexion, extending up nice and high, rotating to the other side, far as you can, dropping that elbow down to the hip, and then coming back around in front. We'll come back to neutral, and we'll start again, tucking the rib cage down into flexion, turning those shoulders to the side in rotation, dropping the shoulder down into lateral flexion, push this side of your rib cage out, extending up, rotating to the other side, dropping that elbow down to your hip, and coming back around in front, Back to neutral, and we'll start again. Flexion, rotation, lateral flexion, extending up, flare that rib cage, rotating to the other side, dropping that elbow down to the hip, and back around in front. Back to neutral, we have 3 in the other direction. Flexion, rotation, again trying to turn on axis, dropping that shoulder down, pushing the rib cage out, extend up, rotating to the other side, dropping that elbow down to the hip, and back around in front. Back to neutral, and again. Flexion, again, every one of these movements should be controlled. Rotation, we're trying to get as much range as possible. Lateral flexion, dropping the shoulder down, extending up, flaring that rib cage, rotating to the other side, dropping the elbow down, back around in front, and we have one more. Here we go, flexion, pulling that rib cage in, rotating as far as you can, dropping the shoulder down, extending up, rotating to the other side, dropping the elbow down, and back around in front. Okay, next we are going to go onto our hands and knees. We're going to work on thoracic rotation. From this position, we are going to have one hand behind the head. We're going to close our elbows, and then we're going to open, reaching or pointing that elbow to the ceiling, looking up at the elbow as you point it up. We're going to pause at the top and then come back down slow and close the elbows. We're going to do 5 reps per side. Here we go, hand behind the head, touching the elbows, opening up, reaching up, point that elbow to the ceiling, look at the elbow, pause, and back down. Closing the elbows, that's 1. Coming up, open, 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 point towards the ceiling, look at that elbow, and back down slow. Closing the elbows. And again, opening back up. Point that elbow to the ceiling, look up. That's number 3, coming down, closing the elbows. And again, pointing up, high as you can, reach, reach, reach. And down, you should notice you get a little bit further every time. Closing the elbows. And back up here, nice and slow. Reach, reach, reach. And down slow. We'll finish by closing the elbows. Good. Now we'll go to the other side. Other hand behind the head. Starting off in a closed position, elbows touching. Opening up. Look up as high as you can. Point that elbow to the ceiling. And back down, nice and slow. Again, controlling the whole movement. Coming back up. Point that elbow to the ceiling. Look up. And back down. That's 2. Coming back up. Looking at that elbow. Good. Coming back down. That's 3. Touching the elbows. Here we go. Coming back up. Point that elbow to the ceiling. Back down. That's 4. One more time here. Coming up. Open, open, open. And back down. Excellent. Okay. Next, we're going to go to our 90-90 position, working on hip external rotation. So 90 degrees in the front leg, 90 degrees in the back leg. Hands are going to be behind you, and you're going to turn your shoulders towards this back leg. From here, we're going to lift our knee up as high as we can, opening that up as much as we can. You're going to feel a pinch in your hip. That is okay. We're going to work on the joint capsule of the hip. So where the femur meets the socket, we're really going to try to rotate it, and that's that pinching feeling you're going to feel. You can't hurt anything, but when you feel that pinch, I want you to try and push a little bit further. You'll notice with every rep, you get a little higher. Okay, here we go. Hands behind you, chest or shoulders pointed towards this back leg, lifting up, nice, slow and controlled the whole time, Opening as high as we can. Feel that pinch, push a little further and back down. You're going to actively press down. This is controlled the whole time. You're going to keep this knee on the ground as well. Try not to lift this off the ground. Here we go. This is number 2. Open, open, open. And actively pressing back down. Good. That's 2. Again, open, open, open. Far as you can, keep this knee down. And actively pressing back down. That's 3. Again, opening up. And down, getting as much range as possible every rep. One more time, back up. Open, 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 far as you can, and slowly come back down. Good. And we'll flip over to the other side. One side's going to feel worse than the other. We always have one hip that's tighter than the other one. 90 degrees in the front leg, 90 degrees in the back leg, hands behind you. Turn those shoulders towards that back leg, and then nice and slow, coming up. Feeling that pinch, this is my tight side. Keeping the other knee on the ground, and then actively pressing that knee down into internal rotation. Good. And again, open. Pull, pull, pull. And down slow. Actively pressing that knee into the ground. That's 2. Again, open. And down. That's 3. Again, open. Externally rotating the hip. Actively pressing down. That's 4. And one more here. Open, open, open. And back down. That's 5. Okay, we'll kick those legs out in front and just give those hips a second. And for our next exercise, we're going to go to spine rotation. We're going to have one leg straight. Your other leg is going to be over top. So again, placing it over top. We're going to take our arm. We are going to turn and use this arm for leverage to rotate your spine. When you do this, I want you to look back behind you and use your breath. So we're going to take in a deep breath before. We're going to exhale. So empty those lungs as we rotate, and you'll get more rotation. We'll pause and then come back forward. And then we'll take another breath in. We're going to do 5 reps here. In position, here we go. Deep breath in. Slowly empty those lungs. Looking behind you, empty those lungs. Pause and back. That's 1. Deep breath in. Looking behind you. Empty those lungs. That's 3. Again, use this arm for leverage to get more rotation. Deep breath in. Good. Again, deep breath in. We're going to do one more. Deep breath in. Slowly exhale. Try to turn that head so you're looking behind you. And back. And flipping over to the other side. So my far leg is straight. My other leg is coming over top, and I'm turning towards the leg that's over top. Hand is here, pressing my elbow against that knee for leverage. Here we go. Deep breath in. Turning and looking behind you. Empty those lungs. That's 1. Deep breath in. It's 2. That's 3. That's 4. And one more. Deep breath in. And 5. Okay. we're going to finish off with our thoracic spine cars. If you have the time, please go back, do your 90-90s again, just rewind the video and do these spine rotations again. And then you can finish off with your thoracic spine cars. Here we go, hands on the shoulders. We're going to do 2 in each direction, tucking the ribs down. This is flexion, rotating, dropping that shoulder down, extending up, rotating to the other direction, dropping down to the other side, and back around in front, back to neutral, starting again, flexion, rotation, lateral flexion, extending up, rotating to the other side, dropping that elbow down, feel that extra rotation, back around in front, and 2 in the other direction. Flexion, rotation, lateral flexion, extending up, rotating the other direction, dropping down, coming back around in front. And one more time to finish off. Flexion, turning those shoulders to the side, dropping the shoulder down, extending up, flaring that rib cage, rotating the other direction, dropping that elbow down to your side, and back around in front. Thank you for joining. That is another episode of Morning Mobility with NATEFIT. Again, we are posting 3 times a week now, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The video gets posted at 5:30 a.m. Share the link with anybody. Again, this is a free resource for everyone. Thank you for joining. If you like the class, give it a thumbs up. Thank you for making your health a priority. And I will see you on Wednesday.